Have you ever wondered if your car is actually making you poorer? Not because it's unreliable and not because it's constantly breaking down, but simply because of the way you financed it. Now that's exactly the position we find ourselves in as a family. 3 years ago, we bought a Renault Kiger brand new. And at the time, we genuinely believed we were making the smart financial decision. It came with a warranty, a service plan, and good fuel economy, and the monthly repayment was just over 4,000 Rand. It seemed like the perfect family car. But fast forward to today and the numbers tell a completely different story. We still have 23 installments remaining, and we owe roughly 145,000 Rand to settle the finance. And at the end, if we don't decide to settle the finance, we have a balloon payment still waiting for us of 90,000 Rand. That means if we decided to keep the car, we'll either have to pay that amount off in cash or refinance it and continue paying interest on a car that's already depreciated significantly. So when me and my wife sat down and looked at everything on paper, we realized something that completely changed our thinking. This isn't really about the Renault Kiger anymore. It's about putting ourselves in a better financial position over the next 5 to 10 years. Instead of continuing with an expensive finance agreement, what if we sold the Kiger, settled the finance and bought a reliable used car, reduced our monthly costs and kept that vehicle for the next 8 to 10 years? Now that became our goal. Not to buy something newer, not to buy something more luxurious, but to buy something reliable, safe, fuel efficient, affordable to own, and a vehicle that makes more sense for our family and our businesses in the long run. Now after weeks of research, spreadsheets and comparing ownership costs, we narrowed it down to 3 cars. The Honda Fit 1.5, the Toyota CHR 1.2 turbo and the Mazda CX-3 2-litre automatic. So today we went to WeBuyCars to see what cars we loved on paper but would still be impressed in real life. So we're currently on our way to WeBuyCars to go have a look at a couple of different vehicles. WeBuyCars wouldn't be our first option to buy a vehicle from, just because you have to be very thorough in your research and also look at all the vehicles in high detail. But what's nice about WeBuyCars is, and why we're going there today, is because they have 2 of the 3 vehicles there on site that we are currently looking at buying. So it just makes it a bit easier instead of driving to different dealerships, because we are situated in Paarl, so it makes it a bit more difficult for us to drive all the way into town and go to various different dealerships and drive the vehicles. And this WeBuyCars branch is actually one of the closest to our current living situations. Now before we continue on with this video, if you've been enjoying this video so far, please consider giving us a subscription and like this video, share it with a friend, and leave a comment down below with what parts you've been enjoying the most so far. Thanks so much. Walking into WeBuyCars, honestly, it was quite an experience. The amount of stock they have under one roof is incredible. No matter what type of vehicle you're looking for, chances are you'll find one there. For someone who enjoys cars, it's actually a really cool place to just walk around because you get to compare so many different vehicles side by side. The best part for us was that 2 out of the 3 cars that we were on our shortlist was actually available to view at WeBuyCars. We were able to test drive them, which meant we could compare them properly instead of relying only on YouTube reviews and online research. Our first vehicle we looked at was the Mazda CX-3. It was a red automatic model with a naturally aspirated 2-litre engine, a really good specification and even a sunroof. And I have to admit, I really like the idea of having a sunroof. It's not something you need, but definitely it makes the cabin feel that little bit more premium. Walking around the car, I was reminded just how good the CX-3 still looks. Even though it's been around for a while, I still think it's one of the best looking compact SUVs on the market. The proportions are great, the paint looks fantastic, and before we even driven it, it gave me a very good impression. From there, we moved over to the Toyota CHR, and before today, this was actually my favorite one on paper. The styling is bold, different, and once you climbed inside, you immediately noticed this, everything felt very solid. The doors closed, with a reassuring thud, and the doors felt well put together. The infotainment system was definitely better than I expected from most Toyota generations. And sitting inside, we both agreed that this was probably our number one choice. And then it was finally time to test drive. The CHR 1.2 litre turbo engine isn't bad at all. Around town it feels comfortable and refined, and for everyday driving it does exactly what it needs to do. But if I'm being completely honest, it left me wanting for a little bit more. It never felt underpowered, but it also never felt particularly exciting. Everything else about the car was excellent. The ride quality was comfortable, the cabin was quiet, and overall it felt like a Toyota should. Reliable, refined, and well put together. It was a very good car, but it just didn't completely win me over. After that, we went back to the CX-3 and we decided to take it for a test drive. And within a few minutes, me and my wife knew that this was definitely a much better ride quality than the CHR. The steering felt sharper, the naturally aspirated 2-litre engine responded effortlessly, and the gearbox was smooth and the whole car just felt connected. It felt lighter on its feet, more engaging to drive, and surprisingly refined. Sometimes you drive a car that simply feels right, and that's exactly what happened with the CX-3. Now, before today, it wasn't our first choice, but after driving it, it completely changed our opinion. I walked away genuinely impressed. Our final stop was at Honda to have a look at a Honda Fit, and unfortunately they weren't able to offer us a test drive, which was disappointing because this has been one of the cars we've researched the most. We spent some time walking around it, sitting inside it and getting a feel for the cabin. While I completely understand why so many people recommend the Honda Fit, it didn't immediately give me the same premium feeling from the Toyota to the Mazda. The materials felt a little bit simpler, the doors didn't feel quite as solid, and because we couldn't drive it, it naturally dropped to the third place after today's visit. Now that doesn't mean that it's a bad car at all. In fact, if you only looked at the numbers, it's probably the smartest financial decision by far. And that's where the story becomes really interesting. Because buying a car isn't just about how it looks. It isn't just about how it drives. It's about what it's going to cost you every single month, what it costs to maintain, and what it will be still worth after trying to sell it. And I actually think this is where most people make a big mistake. They ask one question: can I afford the monthly repayment? Now I think the better question is, what will this car actually cost me to own? Now when you compare these three vehicles, the differences were much bigger than we expected. Starting off with the Honda Fit, this is still the financial winner. Based on our calculations, it should average around 6 litres per 100 kilometers. Insurance will roughly be around 900 Rand per month, and the maintenance expected to be one of the lowest of the three. And perhaps importantly, Hondas hold their value exceptionally well, and we would still be able to get between 120 to 150,000 Rand for that Honda after 5 years. That means the depreciation of only 30,000 Rand, which is outstanding. Add everything together and the 5-year cost of ownership comes to around 308,000 Rand. As the CX-3 comes in second, the fuel cost will be expected to be around 214,000 Rand over 5 years, maintenance around 40,000 Rand, and the insurance roughly per month 1,000 Rand. The depreciation approximately 40,000 Rand, and that gives us an estimate of 5 years of ownership around 350,000 Rand. So yes, it's more expensive than the Honda to own, but after driving it, I completely understand why people are willing to spend a little bit more. The biggest surprise for me was actually the Toyota CHR, because it wears a Toyota badge. I would automatically assume that it'd be the cheapest car to own. But once you add up everything together, the numbers told a different story. The real world fuel consumption is higher than expected. The insurance is around 1,100 Rand per month. And the maintenance is slightly more expensive because of the turbocharged engine. And the depreciation is expected to be very similar to the Mazda. That brings its estimate of cost of ownership over 5 years to 380,000 Rand, making it the most expensive option of the three. The difference of roughly 70,000 Rand between the Honda Fit and the Toyota CHR over 5 years. Think about that. Now that's not just a number on a spreadsheet. That's money you could have invested every single month. Money that could go towards our daughter's future. Or simply, money that stays in our bank account instead of disappearing into a depreciating asset. So where does this leave us? Emotionally, the Mazda CX-3 completely surprised us. It was by far the nicest car to drive and left the biggest impression on us both. The Toyota CHR still feels excellent. It feels premium, it's well built, and it has a Toyota reputation behind it. But financially, it doesn't make as much sense as we originally thought. And the Honda Fit remains the sensible option. It has the lowest running cost, the strongest resale value, and excellent reliability. And it's probably the smartest long-term decision for our family. We just wish we had the opportunity to drive one before making our final choice. So right now, my head is telling me to buy the Honda Fit. And my heart is telling me to buy the Mazda CX-3. And honestly, I'm still not sure which one I'm going to pick. One thing I do know is that before buying any used vehicle, you should do your own research in depth, running all the numbers and making sure to look at every vehicle in significant detail. Because buying used is the smarter option, but you need to take the time to carefully weigh up the cost and make sure that you're making a good, educated decision. The whole process has taught me something really valuable. Buying a car isn't about finding the perfect car. It's about finding the car that actually fits your lifestyle the best. For us, this isn't about upgrading. It's about improving our financial position. It's about reducing unnecessarily monthly costs. And it's about buying one reliable vehicle that we can keep for the next 8 to 10 years instead of constantly chasing the next upgrade. And I honestly think that's one of the biggest financial lessons I've learned. Now, I'd love to hear what you think down in the comment section below. If you had to spend between 150 and 200,000 Rand on a car, which one would you buy? And if you enjoyed this video, please consider giving us a follow. And we aren't set on buying a vehicle yet. We're still in the process of doing our research, but we have let go the Renault Kiger, and we'll only be relying on one car for the next while, which is all good. We're not necessarily in desperate need of a second car as of yet, but when the summer comes along, we would definitely need a new car. So we still have time. Let me know in the comment section down below. And then also with regards to the prices of these vehicles, we are looking to buy directly through a dealer. We've made an agreement with them, and we'll tell you more about that in the future.